Recorded live right here in Little Rock, Arkansas. It's time for Larry's rants, raves, and reviews. And now, here's Larry.
Well, we're back for our second part, along with our concealed weapons. I'm finally there, huh? Concealed weapons instructor down at Bullseye Guns and Ammo, Nathan Hedrick, here in Little Rock, and we've had some pretty good conversations about carrying and different ideas that we all have. We talked about our last episode ended up, and folks, if you didn't see episode 1, well, stop this and go back and listen to episode 1 and then jump in with us on episode 2. But I asked the question about chambering and not chambering, and you said, hey, I chamber, but I always tell people if you're not comfortable with that on your, I think you said your skill set.
Yes.
Okay. Then at least you're carrying a firearm. Okay. Sometimes I hate to call them a weapon because that has kind of a negative sound to it, but a firearm. What's the old saying? We used to call them an equalizer. Mm-hmm. You know, I was walking through my daughter's home one day, and our grandson, he's now 11, and probably back then he was 8 or 9. And I'm walking through one day, and I think I was changing shirts. We was going to go to dinner or something, and he sees my gun on my hip, and he goes, "Papa, why do you always carry a gun?" And I said, "Well, James, it's because I love you enough that I'm going to take care of you at any cost."
That's right.
And I said, if anybody ever tries to harm you, steal you, do whatever, I said, they'll come through Pawpaw. I said, but look at it this way. Pawpaw's too out of shape to outrun you. I'm too old to whip you, so I'm going to shoot him. Mm-hmm. Okay, so it's just a simple fact of I don't want to get in a fist fight. And, you know, as a concealed weapons person, and we'll just kind of take this little rabbit trail, I was told during I've taken several concealed classes because I used to be in another business that I would actually host concealed classes. I was in the financial industry is what I was doing. And I would put together classes, I think I did 4 or 5 of them, of people that didn't have a concealed weapons permit. And I would, I buddied up with some guys like yourself that was a concealed weapons teacher and do the class. And I'd always learn something new. But one of the instructors always said, you can't get in the middle of a fist fight and decide, well, I'm going to get the crap beat out of me, so now I'm going to draw my weapon and shoot, okay? You better, because that would be frowned upon by the law probably. What's your opinion of something like that? Don't get in a fist fight and then, what's your opinion?
I am going to avoid confrontational stuff at all cost. I'm going to go the other way.
Okay.
I'm not even, I mean, if as you pointed out, you might, maybe you can't fight back.
Yeah.
You know, maybe you don't know how to fight.
All right.
I mean, at that point, you know, yeah, you might have to use a firearm to defend yourself if somebody's beating you with an inch of your life, you know. Mm-hmm. You always use the same amount of threat that's being used on you to stop the threat. You know
I like that.
So,
I like that.
That's how I would look at it.
Okay.
You know,
right.
But for me, you in the first episode, you brought up about situational awareness.
Yeah.
Knowing your surroundings.
Right.
That's the keys to the kingdom. If you know what's going on around you, odds are you're going to be able to not put yourself in a position where you have to use that firearm.
Right. Okay.
And I can't, you know, that's one of the biggest things that I preach to people, and one of the biggest things I see people not do is pay attention to their surroundings.
Boy, that's so true.
Yeah, I mean, you know, like you said, you go to Walmart late at night. You know, I go to Walmart, usually in the evenings, and everybody I watch has got their face buried in their cell phone.
Oh, yeah.
They're not even paying attention to the car that's about to hit them.
Yeah.
Let alone, you know, what's going on around them.
I could walk up and smack them in the head, and they would never even know that I was there.
That situational awareness is paramount. It's just so important.
Right.
It's just the keys to the kingdom.
Yeah. Well, you know, and as I get older, my daughter actually asked me, she said, Dad, do you really feel comfortable with taking James? I mean, I'm turning 66 in a few days. In fact, this Friday, August 15th is my birthday. She said, are you really comfortable with taking James out and going to movies and lunch and stuff? I said, yeah, baby. I said, I'm pretty comfortable with it. I said, because I've always got my gun on. And I said, I would tell you that your son is probably safer with me than anybody walking the face of the earth.
Absolutely.
Because I love that little guy, and I'm telling you, if it comes down to where you're going to want to harm him or do something to him, you better be packing, because I am.
Go to hell and back for him.
Absolutely.
Yes,
absolutely. I'll lay down my life. Well, you know, one thing that I've often heard is most gunfights in America happen within 6 feet.
It's usually pretty close.
Is that close? Is that kind of something that you teach? And I was looking at some FBI statistics, and they said 55% of what they call gunfights are within 0 to 5 feet of one another. And then it went on to say that the average man can cover 21 feet of ground in 1.5 seconds.
That's right.
Wow.
Fast.
Randy, I'm sure at our age, do you think we can do that?
No.
21 feet in 1.5
Fast.
seconds. But then it says that the average man cannot draw his concealment in under 2 seconds.
Exactly.
Thus, the argument that I use of having one chambered.
Yes.
Because I'm going to be able to draw my gun, pop the safety off with my thumb, and then I'm going to take care of things.
Do business.
So what's a good rule of thumb? How close should we allow an escalation to get before drawing our weapon?
I don't know if there's an answer to that, because
Everything's different.
Yeah, everything's different.
Okay.
You know, you being the one having the firearm on, you being the good citizen, you always have to have a calm, cool, collected head.
Okay.
I know that's hard to do, especially when you have somebody screaming at you, threatening to beat you within an inch of your life and stuff. But you have to stay calm and cool and collected. You know?
Right.
You have to. Because, you know, you start panicking,
Yeah.
you know. I guess for me, the biggest thing I could say is I'm going to avoid the confrontation with everything in me. I'm going to start backing up. I'm going to, you know, remove myself from the situation as best I can. That might not always be an option, though.
So there are times that it is necessary to retreat.
Our duty is to retreat.
Okay.
Our duty is to retreat. We retreat. We are not law enforcement. We're not, you know, any type of... Our duty is to retreat.
And I don't think that any good concealed weapons person that's gone through classes, that goes to the range and, you know, that really practices awareness and safety, none of us, I don't know of a person to a fault that ever wants to draw their weapon and shoot someone.
Oh, no.
I
Absolutely.
never want to take someone's life. I'm willing to. If it comes down between their life and mine, I'm willing to do it. Or my children, or my family, or even a friend, okay? I will use deadly force. But dear God, that's the last thing I want to do.
Absolutely.
And, you know, my gun has never killed anyone. Never.
Here's mine.
But it could.
Good. Yeah.
And so, as a rule of thumb, you know, I have to say that I'm going to draw my gun before you get within arm's reach, because I don't want you to be able to reach out and grab it or hit my arm or something like that. I'll be retreating, but I've often said, if I'm going to draw my gun, I'm going to shoot you.
Yes, sir. Yep.
And I've often said, if I draw my gun and shoot you, I'm going to kill you. Feel free to agree, argue, do whatever.
I would just say that I shoot to stop the threat.
Okay.
Fair enough.
Because isn't it true that in the society that we live in, don't you believe for a fact that if you ever shoot someone, you will end up in court?
You're opening up a can of worms that can't be closed. Yes. Yeah. You're going to have to take a ride with the police, regardless if it's a complete self-defense or not. There's questions that have to be answered. You know, they've got their protocols they've got to follow.
Yeah.
And you know, when that time, if it ever comes, you know, one big thing that people don't think about is, you know, I've got my gun, I got my holster, I got my ammo, I'm ready to defend myself. But what do you do after? you know.
Yes.
And there's a lot of things out there that you could use to protect you. You know, there's I forget, like U.S. Law Shield, or that, I forget the other one, that U.S., it's something carry. Insurance programs, you know,
I was going to ask about that.
Something that you have to fall back on.
Do you recommend having the insurance policies?
I would have something. You know, I know a lot of us can't afford an attorney, to have an attorney on retainer.
Right.
But there are options out there for people to have some type of legal defense.
And doesn't and not that this is a commercial for them, but once you're a member of the NRA, doesn't that come with some kind of a insurance policy of some kind, or you can buy one?
I think
from
you
them?
can buy one.
Buy one.
I think so. I'm not exactly sure on that.
Yeah, I think U.S. Carry does have
Something.
have that as well. So, and that's something that honestly I have never done, but the more I think about it, the more I probably should, because I know if I pull my gun and shoot somebody, I am going to go to court.
Yeah.
Some mama's going to be there.
Oh, yeah.
You know, there's a rap sheet, you know, a mile and a half long, but she's going to get in front of the camera. That was my baby.
That's it.
He never did a thing wrong. He's an angel sitting in Sunday school class every Sunday morning, blah, blah, blah. And, oh, really? And the media is going to cover that. They're not going to cover the rap sheet that's a mile and a half long.
That's right. You've got to have some type of legal defense.
So I do agree with you. There is a necessity to retreat, to do everything you can to talk somebody down.
But you always retreat with complete safety. You don't ever retreat if you can't retreat safely.
Okay.
Fair?
All right.
You know, you never turn your back to a threat.
No.
Things like that. You know, if you can't retreat safely, then
Right.
that's where you're just going to have to stand your ground.
You know our parking lot. I have a lot of trouble with
Yes.
what they call homeless, but I call them beggars because the majority of them live someplace and just come in. Their pimp that goes around and takes them from corner to corner to corner, changing them out. They rack up the money. Some of them are probably making $100,000 a year. And I know I sound heartless, and so, well, send me an email and tell me how heartless and horrible and non-Christian I am, okay? Get over yourself. There's a lot of people standing out on the street corner that's probably making $100,000 a year, tax free, while I'm out there working my butt off. Okay, and it's you liberals that keep giving money hand over fist to them and empowering them to keep up the whole scam. But we have these people, and I have the responsibility that the people that are coming to lunch at Bobby's Country Cooking, I have to keep the parking lot. I've spent a third of my time concerning about the parking lot. Our hours are 10:30 to 2 Monday through Friday. I wouldn't open for dinner. No way. And the mayor and the city council and the city people that we have, there's no way on God's green earth that you ought to feel safe in Little Rock, Arkansas. I'm sorry, but we've become a mini Memphis is what we've really become.
Yeah.
You guys don't have to agree.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
you don't have to say it. You just stand and look,
I agree.
sit and look at me like, well, you're an idiot for saying it on the air, but it's true.
I mean, but as you pointed out, that little, you know, we're all kind of in the same area. Come and hang out with us for a day. See what we see.
Yeah, exactly.
It'll change your mind real fast.
Yeah. I had a guy roll in about a month and a half or 2 months ago. I was telling Randy about it. He come in and he rolls in a wheelchair, and he comes in and he screams bloody murder. Okay. All right, you MFers. I'm going to strip search every one of you blankety blank blanks. And I'm at the register. Well, man, I peel around there and I look at my wife and I said, get Izzy on the register. I went out there and I said, what is your problem?
No kidding.
He looks at me and he goes, don't worry, I got money to buy my own lunch. I said, not here, you don't. I said, you see that door? I'm going to go open it and you're going to wheel out of there. I said, because you're not welcome here. Get out. Yeah. Okay? And I threw him out. And so as he went out, I shut the door. Well, he takes the wheelchair and he rams it up against my right leg. Kind of bumps me, okay? And I think when he did, he kind of fell into my hip. And I think he honestly felt the firearm. And when I felt that, I grabbed for it and I said, I'm telling you to leave now. I never drew my weapon. I never even showed my weapon. I grabbed my shirt that it was under. And at that point, he got the hint that this was not the place for him. And I said, now I'm going to watch you leave. And I said, and I don't mean just these little premises. I mean the entire parking lot. Get out and don't ever come back here. I walked back in almost to an applause. I had probably, by the time I could walk through the dining room and get back to the register, I had at least 10 customers that said, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for that. What they were thanking me for was my strong leadership, because they know Larry's going to keep my dining experience as safe as possible and as pleasurable as possible. And as a business owner, we have to do those things.
Absolutely.
So I don't have time for all these bleeding heart Karens to come in. They all want to buy a meal and drag some person in there that hasn't had a shower. I feel sorry for the real homeless, okay? Sure. I'm not heartless. And I give a lot of things to different places that help these people, but they're not going to come in. I'm not turning Bobby's into a soup kitchen.
Right.
Not going to do it, okay? So anyway, I'm kind of getting off on a different subject there.
Well, but it comes back into the whole safety thing. I mean,
it really does.
It's, you know.
Yeah. And, you know, the other day I had to go out and run off some beggar that was on the parking lot. And I said, Izzy, get on the cash register. Okay, Mr. Larry, just please be careful. Please be careful. Because she cares about me.
Yeah, sure she does.
And I'm like, I'm going to be careful, Izzy. But I'm going to keep my staff, my customers, and myself, we're going to remain safe. If you want to beg, and the guy wanted to argue with me. I said, I don't care if you beg for a living. Just don't do it here. Get off the parking lot and go away from me. Go beg someplace else.
I agree completely with that.
Well, there's two types of concealed carry license. There's the regular one, if you
basic,
will.
yes, sir.
And then there's the enhanced.
Yes, sir.
Tell us what the difference is. What's your personal preference?
So the enhanced, the basic, you know, I don't even remember when they instituted that. Was it? Do you remember when?
I think it was like 4 or 5 years ago, wasn't it?
No, I mean the actual basic one. That was back in the 90s.
Okay, I don't know.
I can't even remember. But yeah, the enhanced 2019, I think, is when it started. I can't remember now. Somewhere in that time frame.
Okay.
But they came up with the enhanced permit, and it cuts a lot of your prohibited places out of where you normally can't carry.
Okay.
And it for a lot of people, you know, might have needed that. Some people might not need to, you know, carry into those places, so they just didn't get the enhanced. But basically, you know, like if you have an enhanced license, you can carry into like state offices.
Okay.
You can be in the common areas of the airport, you know, which the last place you want to be is in that parking lot without a gun.
Right.
So,
right.
You know, that's nice. You can even carry into the state capitol with an enhanced permit, you know.
Okay.
So it did. It gives you a little bit more leeway. Now, that enhanced license is only good for Arkansas. Once you cross the state lines, it's just a standard basic carry license.
with just the regular, with just the regular concealment, we can't carry hospitals, emergency rooms, a bar, a state or federal park.
Right.
Can the enhanced?
You always got to check the signage, make sure that, you know, it's not posted that we can't carry. But
Okay.
Yeah, you know, with an enhanced permit, you can carry into state parks, carry into a national park. With the enhanced, you can even carry into the I'm trying to think of like, for example, downtown Hot Springs. You got the bathhouses.
Oh,
right?
yeah. Uh-huh.
You know, left side's going to be ran by the city. The right side ran by the state park. You know, well, if you didn't have an enhanced permit, you can't be up in those buildings and stuff.
Oh,
so,
okay.
Where do the banks fall into that?
banks are privately owned. They determine who will carry and who will not.
Oh.
Remember, the banks are just federally backed.
Okay.
So, you know,
Okay.
I bank with U.S. Bank, and these people know me and they see me come in there like, there's Nathan. We know he's got a gun on him. They feel better when I'm in the bank because they're not allowed to carry one.
Now places that, are posted. I remember, what was it, 4, 5, 6 years ago when they came out and said, well, they changed the law that said you can now carry a gun into churches if the pastor allows it.
Right.
And I'll never forget, I got an email that said we no longer want anyone to go by the new law and carry. And honestly, I went to my pastor and I said, if I don't carry, I'm not coming to church. I'll find a new church. And folks, I'll just tell you right now on this show, if your pastor will rape you of your Second Amendment right and not allow you to carry, go find you a new church.
Yeah.
That's awful rough. That's awful big statement.
Well, it's kind of shocking because everybody I know, all the church, that's a must. They've got security teams. They want people armed.
Oh, they have security teams. And some of these lead head pastors, senior pastors, they even have a bodyguard. But
you can't have your firearm.
You can't have your firearm.
The members can't. They were picking and choosing who could carry and who couldn't.
There's one church here in Little Rock that he was dumb enough, the head pastor got on and said, all we need is a bunch of John Waynes carrying guns into the church, and I do not want it. And I have never darkened the door of his church, nor will I ever. If you die and have your funeral there, I won't be in attendance, okay? Put it on YouTube, and I'll watch it there. So anyway, I just think that there's things that you can do for your own safety. Here's one that is a personal issue with me. You probably don't know this, but Randy and his wife, Donna, and Carol and I, my wife, we go to dinner every Wednesday night. And in restaurants, I've got my family and my friends trained, okay, that when we go to a table, okay, I set to where I have a visual of the front door. Yep. Because if anybody is hostile, if anybody comes through that door and there's a created problem, I want to know about it first. And I'm the one with the gun, okay? And so I have to see that door. You're not going to set me at a place to where I can't see the front door. That's a rule.
I'm the same way.
Okay.
Exact same.
And so I just am very cautious. And I am prepared. Somebody comes running through there with a gun, I'm going to have my gun out taking care of business.
Oh, yeah.
Okay?
Absolutely.
So are there some other thoughts that kind of are like that? And again, I'm not paranoid.
No,
I am just prepared.
Paying attention to your surroundings. That's not being paranoid.
No, it's not.
Because as we pointed out before, you could get hit by a car and that has nothing to do with a gun.
Right.
I mean, you have to pay attention to your surroundings
at
all times. Period.
Well, I have a sign on the door of Bobby's that is professionally done, and then I've got on one of my TV screens a slide that says all legal weapons welcome here at Bobby's. We love the Second Amendment, okay? And I was standing at the register, one day, and I was checking people through, and I was like normal. I said, hey, how y'all doing? And this one old biddy, I was doing fine until I saw your sign that you allow guns in here. And she's just giving it this liberal whine, And I looked at her and I said, ma'am, I got to be honest with you. You're in the safest restaurant in Arkansas.
No doubt.
Because what a lot of people don't realize is we are close to the training facility for a lot of officers. And there's a lot of undercover officers. You never know how many guns are sitting in our restaurant. I do. A lot of them because I get to know the people.
Sure. You can Game and Fish is right around the corner.
Oh, yeah.
You don't want to get into a mess with a
you don't.
Game and Fish officer.
That's true.
It's like, there's no questions.
No. And so the bottom line is that I looked at her and I said, this is the safest restaurant you could be in. Her husband rolled his eyes back to the back of his head.
Oh,
and looked at her and said, "Please go sit down." I looked at him and said, on the inside of a screaming, I'd get a divorce if I were you. She's too stupid. Okay. So anyway, I love guns. I want to, we talk about safety, and this is something I just ran across, and just for grins. It says earlier this year, Patrick Bryce was found guilty of savagely beating two elderly people, Mark Crosby, age 73, and Dick Schaefer, 80. Okay. They were in Baltimore, Maryland. And it was just August the 9th, I believe it was, Baltimore City Circuit Judge Yvette M. Bryant sentenced Bryce, get this, to 0 jail time and instead received 1 year of home detention and 3 years probation.
That's the problem right there. That dude should be locked up for 15 years, if not longer.
Or dead.
Yeah. You're gonna go beat up a bunch of old people?
I'll go where
disgusting.
I'll go where you or other people don't want to go.
That's just disgusting.
If he was 6 foot under, I'd be happy.
That's just disgusting.
It is.
And that's the problem, is the criminals don't get in trouble. But us good law-abiding people, the minute we do anything,
Yeah.
and it might not even be breaking the law, we're just almost prosecuted, you know?
Randy, we go to dinner Wednesday night, and we're walking down the sidewalk, and some guy jumps out and starts beating the crap out of you or Donna.
All right. Well,
They better bring body bags.
Yeah.
We as law-abiding citizens, we have to play by the rules. So do the police officers. They got to play by the rules. But the bad guys, they don't have to play. They don't have to play by the rules.
No. No. Yeah.
What's wrong with that picture?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I don't get that. Yeah.
So, those of you that are listening to this podcast or watching on one of our video channels, this is the very type of thing that I'm telling you. You are not taking your personal safety seriously enough. You've got loved ones. You've got friends. You have children, grandchildren. You better be paying attention and putting some rules down. And I got to tell you, just like this thing about about going to dinner, I mean, we'll go to Texas, and the family knows position dad.
Yep.
They're all packing, but dad will not sit down and eat until he has that line of view to the front door.
There's not a thing wrong with that.
And I have sat down with people, and my wife will go, "Excuse me, but Larry needs to sit there," and will actually move people for me. I've never said a word. She's just like, "No, you can't sit there." Larry said, "That's Larry's chair." And they look at her like, "I didn't know we had assigned seating."
We do.
We kind of look back like, "Yeah, we really do."
We do.
So,
No, I get it. I'm the same way.
well, is there any closing thoughts that you might want to leave our listeners to about gun safety?
How do we get? Is there any way you could tell us how to get go to the class, or do you have a class coming up?
We do one a month, and it's the basics, just a 6-hour course. The enhanced, it normally takes me about maybe 10 to 12 hours to cover everything. I know that's a lot. We usually break it up into 2 days. But as you pointed out, every time I teach a class, I learn something.
Okay.
It's just, this whole thing is a learning process. You never stop learning. Knowledge is power.
Yeah.
The more you know, the better you are.
Well, I got to tell you that I don't have the enhanced, but I think I'll get it.
Yeah. Once you get that enhanced,
What days do you normally do your enhanced
we do them
programs?
on Saturdays.
Saturdays?
That seems to be when people, have some free time to set and do all that. But
Randy?
your normal basic concealed handgun, you renew it every 5 years.
Yeah.
Once you get that enhanced certification on your permit, you don't have to renew it every 5 years. It's just every 5 years. It's just a standard renewal.
Oh, okay.
So once you get that enhanced, you're good to go. As long as you keep your permit valid and up to date, you're good to go.
Mine is good. It expires 12/5 of 2027.
You've still got a couple of years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
but I think that the enhanced, I think I'll go get it. So
It's just more training, more knowledge, more power.
when is your next enhanced class?
We typically
know?
on the enhanced, I usually wait till I have at least 5 to 10 people to do it. So
Okay.
I'll just fill up a roster. But like the basics, it's the second weekend of every month on a Saturday.
Second weekend.
Whatever
That's the basic class.
That's the basic. I always do one the second weekend every month.
What does it cost?
We charge $120 for the class, and then the state police, they've changed their fees so many times I can't remember.
Yeah.
But it's somewhere in that $70 to $80
Okay.
for the
Since I'm a concealed person now, do I have to go through more fingerprints and that
no,
kind
you
of
don't
stuff?
have to do all that. You don't have to do the fingerprinting or the application if you're just adding the endorsement to your license.
Yeah.
You just have to go attend a class. Now, with that being said, the enhanced, with your basic, the shooting qualification, 21 feet, you can shoot a rimfire or center fire, doesn't matter there, up to the instructor. The enhanced, you have to use a center fire handgun, and you shoot stages, and you're timed and scored on your shots.
Okay.
So you have to score a 70% or I think it's a 35 out of 50.
Okay.
We fire 50 rounds. So, there's a little bit you've got to actually have some practice with your firearm.
You gotta earn it.
You know what I mean? Yeah,
Yeah.
you got to earn it. So
I will confess I don't go to the range and shoot as much as I should, but honest to God, the last time I was there, I went over to North Little Rock and said, "Hey, I want to get in here and do this." And actually, Carol had to requalify.
Okay.
Okay. So she shot and requalified, and I said, "I'm going to get me a target, and I got to do this." And honest to God, I surprised myself at how good I was. I'm like, whoa. I think a couple of magazines, and I said, okay, I'm stopping there because either I'm really good or I'm really lucky.
Well, muscle memory.
So it must
You
be.
training and practicing all the time
Right.
over the years.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it makes a difference.
Randy, are you interested in that enhanced
Yeah.
class? You want to take it together?
Yeah, let's do.
Put Randy and I down
Okay.
for the next enhanced class. So there's 2 on the roster.
Okay.
You got any other?
Not at
people?
the moment.
All right. Well, there's your 2 to start with.
Okay.
So get you 3 or 4 more, and
We'll go have some fun.
yeah, we will. Let's do that. And Randy, I mentioned to Nathan about he can become kind of our concealed and weapons expert here for the podcast, and we'll do different shows with him from time to time.
Cool.
I told him that any laws that get changed here in Arkansas, to anytime he wants to jump on and do a podcast with us, another show, let's do that. But folks, you can go see Nathan. He's at Bullseye Guns and Ammo. That's at 205 North Shackelford Road in Little Rock, Arkansas. You can visit bullseyear.com. They're also on Facebook and Instagram. And just go in and say, hey, Nathan, I heard you on the show, and I'm interested. And go in. They've got a wonderful selection of all kinds of, he has a whole showcase of silencers and things that we need to go in and film. I want to do a show on those. But a bunch of really nice guns and a bunch of ammo, different things. Oh, remember the, what was it? It's the magazine for your AR-15.
Yes.
That instead of the 30, it was what, a 40?
Oh, sky's the limit. They got 40s, 60 rounds, drums.
Okay.
You think of it, they've probably made a
Well, I didn't even know they went above 30 at the time. This is a couple of years ago. And I walked in, was getting something at your store, and I looked over and I saw that 40, and I'm like, well, I need one of them.
yeah.
And then
Magpul.
I'm like, well, Randy needs one of them. So I bought him one, I don't know, birthday gift or something, or just here's your magazine, larger magazine. So
Nothing says love like guns and ammo.
there you go. All right. Well, Nathan, thanks for being on board with us here. And
Thank you.
I've had a lot of fun, and you've answered a lot of questions. And folks, if you have any questions, send it to us by email. We'll be more than happy to get your question to Nathan, and we'll answer back, or we'll put it on another episode. And if you'd like to If you have some questions or something about guns or gun safety, something like that, that you would like to have covered on another podcast, drop us an email and we'll get Nathan back on here with us, and we'll certainly do that for you, okay? So I hope you'll have a great day. Come back and see us next episode.